Hello, everybody. How are you? How's everything going? Today, we're going to talk about follow up and what happens before people reach out and after they reach out. What are we doing to build the relationship, build the trust? And today, we're going to talk about uh, what we can do to improve the trust building, improve the relationships, make sure that follow up is happening, making sure that they say actually that they used to say it takes 5 to 7 touch points before someone decides to do business with you. I would say in B2B, it's even more than that. Could be even 10 to 20 touch points because it's a longer sales process. It's maybe a larger sum of money that is being transacted, and maybe there may be multiple people involved in the sale. And so we, as B2B company owners and sales team and marketing team, and everyone who works together in our organization, we have to be cognizant of uh, how we are moving people along in that process, because it is a trust building process. And so here we are today talking about follow up. If you feel like there might be something that you could do to improve your follow up, drop a one in the chat. I know none of us is perfect. We all have, we're human. We have vacations and lunchtime, and we can't be there 24/7, even when we want to be super responsive. But there's a lot that we can do. So we're going to dig into that today. And if this conversation is helpful to you, if you're enjoying learning a little bit about these topics, drop a one in the chat, or share, comment. It helps us engage together as a community. And if you have a question, certainly drop that in the comments. I will be back here to review the comments and respond. And so go ahead and drop your comments there in the chat, and I will give you an answer. All right. So if this is something that you feel like you would like to improve at your company, I would love to hop on a call with you, and we can talk about what you're doing now, what's working well, where the gaps might be, and how you might be able to close those gaps, and hopefully implement systems that can help take some of the burden off you and your sales team, so that you can enjoy predictable sales and hockey stick growth and build that trust in those relationships. All right. So let's jump into, well, actually, first, let me introduce myself. My name's Laura Camrath. I am CEO of Zebra Marketing, and we help companies who have something incredible to bring to their market, to the people who they serve. And that's what they do best. They may not be implementing the most cutting edge digital marketing strategies. So we help them get ahead of the curve, implement systems and solutions with the innovative new automation and AI that is available for us to take advantage of now. And we help them build systems so they can enjoy predictable sales and hockey stick growth, and optimize their marketing so they can get incredible results. All right, now let's hop into the presentation. All righty. So today we're going to talk about why buyers trust some companies before they ever call. And maybe they're calling because they trust that company. But we may not even be aware that they were looking for what we offer. So, the trust starts forming before a sales conversation ever even begins. And, they've already been making their mind up about who you are and what you do and whether it's good for them. So, I like to equate this kind of to a dating relationship. You could never marry someone that you weren't aware existed. So first you have to be aware of them. Even if it's an arranged marriage, you become aware that the other person exists because someone's trying to arrange you into a marriage with them. But typically, we meet someone, maybe out with friends, or we're introduced by someone, and now we're aware that they exist. But before that point, there was absolutely no way that we could ever marry them just because we didn't even know they existed. So first step, awareness. And then from the very first step, or from the awareness step, the trust is built all along the way. And, certainly the way most of us have relationships, we have to form an opinion about that person before perhaps we even decide to even go on a date with them. So, and how is an opinion formed? An opinion is formed by experience and knowledge and trust. If your opinion is that that person is kind of creepy, you're not going to go on a date with them. So, how are those opinions being formed? And we're not dating our customers in a that type of sense, but human relationships, those function relatively similarly, whether it's, a dating relationship or a customer relationship. We may behave differently in those relationships, but the trust building is the same. So whether or not we trust, whether or not we believe that they're being honest, that they're going to do what they say they're going to do, that they're a good company or a good person, all of those things, we sort of operate the same as humans in that dimension, although, our behavior may be a bit different, or a lot different, but, so, all right, so let's just talk about how we go about this process. Most buyers aren't ready today. It would be pretty weird if one of you guys met a pretty lady in a Starbucks and you just met her and the first thing you say is, "Hey, you're awfully pretty. Would you like to get married someday? Would you like to marry me?" That would be just too much. And she would run away in fear because she would think you're crazy. So then why do we as companies, business owners, sales teams think that, it's okay to just sort of clobber our customers over the head with our main offer right away? When they may not know us, they may not be ready, they may not trust us yet. So what the better solution is to get to know them a little. Let them get to know you a little. And how do we do that? We do that by giving them opportunities to get to know us all along the way until they're ready to form that opinion about us, until they're ready to do business with us. But all along the way, they need to be having experiences with us. They need to be seeing us online. They need to be seeing us at a trade show, perhaps. Maybe they need to be invited to an online training or an opportunity online where they can learn about our solutions, where we can help them solve their problem a little bit. So our customers, they are researching. They are building their opinions. They're online researching their options. They're comparing vendors. They're paying attention to what you do and paying attention to what your competitors do, probably. And they're learning about the problem space. What exactly is the nature of the problem and what is the best way to solve it? So they're gathering information and they're evaluating the information and the fit and who might be, what actually is the nature of the problem, what's the best way of solving it, and who would be the best person to solve this problem alongside them. And the hidden reality of B2B buying is that, the sales cycles are long. They may be researching for weeks or months or sometimes even years before they make a decision. And so during that invisible window, far more is happening than companies realize. We're not like a little angel on their shoulder following them around to see what they do. But, in between here, their perceptions are forming. They're looking online. They're seeing what you talk about at the trade show. They're seeing, what's on your website. They're looking, they're learning. And each of these interactions, it builds trust. And how you show up builds trust and credibility. And the trust is, do I believe that they're going to do the best job and that they're actually going to deliver on what they said they were going to deliver on? That's what the trust is about. Are they good people? Do they do what they say they're going to do? Am I going to have a good experience? Or, is my head going to be on the chopping block because I selected a vendor that didn't do their job? Their job may be on the line with this decision. This may be a big decision for them. And so they want to make sure they're making the best decision. And, over time, as they have interactions with you, as they see you online, as they maybe see you at the trade show, as maybe your salesperson reaches out to them, as they get emails from you, as they attend your online trainings, or, whatever those interactions are, their preferences are developing. They're starting to form an opinion. They have to form an opinion before they're able to do business with you. And so they're creating their short lists. They're narrowing it down. And, this all may be happening before your sales team even knows that they are looking, because, maybe they haven't reached out. Maybe they haven't signed up for your online training. Maybe they haven't stopped by your trade show booth, but they are looking at your website. Well, do you know that they looked at your website? Maybe they're reading reviews online, or, they're trying to find out what other people experienced, because at the end of the day, a lot of us don't want to be first. We want to know that somebody else had a good experience, and that gives us confidence to move forward. So are there case studies? Maybe they're reading your case studies. And familiarity creates trust. So when buyers repeatedly encounter a company across channels, something important happens beneath the surface. So, there's all these opportunities where they can interact with you. And, they're looking at all the options. So they're going online. They're reading maybe your LinkedIn content, your social media posts. If you're providing webinars, maybe they're attending your webinars. Maybe you're offering events of some kind. Maybe there's online events. Maybe there's in-person events. Maybe you sponsored a happy hour at a trade show. Maybe you had an online training, jump in with us and we'll show you how to get this particular result. And maybe that was relevant to them. Maybe they've received some emails from you. Maybe someone recommended you, or they read case studies that sounded pretty good. Or they got a referral. So there's all these ways, all these touch points that can help a prospective customer begin to feel familiar and reduce that level of uncertainty they have about who you are and what you do, and whether you're going to, if they worked with you, whether you would actually help them get the results that you promise, and whether they can trust you to do that. So the familiarity advantage. Picture two vendors who are competing for the same opportunity. The difference between them has nothing to do with capability. Maybe they're both equally capable. But vendor A, you've never heard of them. They don't seem to have any content. They don't really have an online presence. There's no prior signal of any kind. They're just sort of unknown. And so you don't have an opinion. You don't really know, are they good? Are they going to do what they say they're going to do? Vendor B, you've seen their content for months. They keep showing up. They're helpful. They're consistent. They're relevant. They're familiar. They're trusted. You see them all over the place. Well, who's probably going to get the business? And why do you think that is? Well, I just feel more comfortable going with vendor B because I feel more confident that they're going to actually do what they say they're going to do. I'm going to get the results promised, and that nobody's going to second guess my opinion because they've probably seen their stuff too. They probably know a little about that company too. Whereas if I pick vendor A, they're kind of like an unknown. And, if I need to get consensus inside my company for why am I using this company, they might be like, well, why did you go with vendor A? We don't even know who they are. So you don't want to be vendor A. You want to be vendor B. And, trust is built through touch points. So what kind of touch points are you providing for your prospective customers? Are you providing content, educating? LinkedIn is great for this, educating through content, giving them opportunities to see, what do you do? What do you talk about? How do you help people? Helping them get a little closer to solving their problem. And then email. If, say, they stop by your trade show and you get their card or their email, or they go to your website and they download a complimentary resource that helps them solve their problem, or maybe they attend an online training that you offer, a webinar, and now you've got their information. Now you're able to send them email. Maybe now you're able to call them and say, hey, I noticed you attended our webinar. I noticed you stopped by our booth. Just wanted to, find out if there's anything we could help you with. Events, either online events or in-person events, human memorable moments. In-person events are great. It lets them really get to know you. Online events are great too. Also helps them get to know you. And conversations, if you reach out to them, if they attend your webinar, now you have their phone number, give them a call, have a conversation, see if there's anything you can do to help. Or, find them at the trade show, find them at industry events. Are you going to industry luncheons? Case studies. And case studies are kind of like reviews. Other people, it shows that other people were successful working with you. And, that's, at the end of the day, nobody wants to be first. We all want to make sure that whatever solution actually works, that other people were successful doing it. And, again, that's also how we build trust is, okay, we're not the first one. Other people did this. It worked. They had a good experience. Now I feel better about trying it myself. So have you ever heard of a sales funnel? People talk about funnels. You may or may not have heard that reference. But really what we're talking about when we talk about funnels is just the trust building uh, sequence, like the how trust is built. And imagine at the top, we've got kind of like every person who ever existed in the universe is at the top of the funnel before going into the funnel, is basically the entire world. And when do they enter the funnel? They enter the funnel when they become aware. And so, just like the person who can't get married to someone they don't know exists, nobody can do business with you until they know you exist. Once they are aware, then the trust building begins. First, it starts with awareness. Oh, okay, I've heard of these guys. That's the first step. Oh, yeah, I've heard of these guys, but I don't know what they do. Oh, I've heard of these guys, but I don't know what they're all about. I've heard of them, but I don't know if they're any good. We don't have an opinion yet. We don't know anything yet. We just know they're out there. And then maybe they start to learn a little bit about you. Maybe they see you speak at a trade show, or they come by your booth, or they see your LinkedIn content and they say, huh, that's actually a good point. That actually, they seem like they know what they're talking about. Now they're starting to build an opinion. They're starting to make a decision about whether or not you do what you say you do, whether or not it's relevant to them, whether or not they're interested. So now that they're interested, the next step is engagement. Maybe they actually comment on one of your LinkedIn posts. Oh, that's a good point, and it's relevant to me. Here's what I think about it. Maybe they stop into your booth and have a conversation with someone there at the trade show. Maybe they actually sign up for a webinar or online training and say, let me learn more about this. And so now you're moving them down the funnel of trust. You're building the relationship, and they're taking those next steps. And at the end of the day, marketing exists to move people along this process, to build the trust. And that is the entire purpose of marketing, is to move people along this journey with you. And so if you have a marketing journey, what does that journey look like? How are you moving people along from having no idea who you are to becoming aware and developing an opinion about you until they're ready to have a conversation? So, at the bottom of the funnel here is conversation, because nobody wants to talk to you until they think it's relevant to you. Have you ever gotten a spam call? They're calling you out of the blue to ask if you want some kind of health insurance or mortgage insurance or whatever it is, and they're interrupting your day, and it's not relevant to you. Are you mad? Are you pissed when your phone rings and you answer the phone and it's just somebody trying to sell you something? Well, the reason you're pissed is because it's not relevant to you. You don't have any trust with whoever's calling. It's not relevant. It's just interrupting your day, and now it's an annoyance. So, nobody wants to have a conversation with you if it's not relevant to them. So here at the bottom of the funnel, they've decided it's relevant to them enough to have a conversation. And so they book a call with you. They schedule a call. Let's talk about this and how it will work for us. And now you have the opportunity to make them a proposal, give them a quote, and for them to make a decision about whether to become a customer. So this is the customer journey. This is the entire purpose of marketing. And so where are your gaps? Do you have gaps? I mean, most of us have gaps. So, what does your funnel look like? What does your customer journey look like? How are you getting people in? How are you building that trust? How are you getting them into a conversation? And then how are you closing the deal? And visibility is not vanity. Sometimes we're like, oh, I don't want to show up. I don't want to put myself out there. Even the companies, oh, I don't want to send an email that sounds pushy. Oh, you know, I don't want to put up too many LinkedIn posts because of such and such, I don't want to be pushy. I don't want to be blah, blah, blah. But the truth is, if they're not seeing you, they're not buying from you. They're not having trust in you. If they don't see you, you are not top of mind. And, a lot of us suffer from this is, oh, I don't want to annoy anyone. If it's relevant to them, you're not annoying them. You're providing relevant, valuable information and education, helping them solve their problem. What's annoying is, the phone call out of the blue that, for something that you don't even want. But, in a B2B sense, if you're offering a solution that they could really have that's going to help them solve their problem, you're not annoying them. And so don't think of it that way. Think of it as that, you're helping them solve their problem. And of course, we don't want to be pushy. We don't want to like spam them. But, why do we call it spam? We call it spam because it's not relevant. And so the difference between spam and marketing is how relevant it is. If it's relevant to them, if it's helping them solve their problem, they're going to see you as a thought leader. And they're going to want to receive your information. They're going to want to follow you. If you're the expert, if you're being respectful and you're the expert and you're helping them solve their problem, they're going to want to get your content. They're going to want to see your LinkedIn post. They're going to want to receive your emails. So, that's the name of the game, is relevant touch points. And so visibility matters. Being visible frequently matters, not, a LinkedIn post once every 3 months, because then they're wondering if you're still alive. Oh, these guys haven't posted in months. I never see their stuff. Are they still in business? You don't want to be making your customers wonder if you're still in business. All right. So capturing contact information. So imagine you're at the Starbucks and you see a pretty girl or a handsome guy, and you first you notice each other. Awareness. Oh, a handsome guy or pretty girl. And then you start chatting. Maybe he or she is standing behind you in line to get a coffee, and you start chatting. Well, now you're engaging. That's the engagement piece. Well, the next step is, if you guys ever want to see each other again, one of you has to ask for their contact information, and maybe it's, hey, could I get your phone number? Maybe would you like to have coffee, or can I call you sometime? And he or she says yes, and now you have their phone number. Well, now you can continue marketing yourself to them, because you've got their phone number. If you didn't get their phone number, you probably would never see them again, and that would be the end of that. And so the same applies to your customer. If you don't get their contact information, how are you going to continue marketing to them? So, you want to get their contact information. How do you do that? You offer an online training that requires a registration. You go to a trade show and you capture their card, or scan their little QR code on their badge, when they come into your booth. Or maybe you offer a drawing. You see those companies all the time, offering, oh, it's a free Yeti cooler iPad if you put your card in here. I uh, that works. I'm probably more of a big fan of, like, getting the relevant cards and following up, but hey, now you've got their information, whatever way that happened. Um, and website forms, maybe they went to your website and you offered a complimentary resource or an audit or something that they could do either independently. Maybe you have like a checklist, like take this 20-point checklist to see where the gaps are in your such and such, um, or self quiz or whatever you could call it. um, but is there something to download on your website that is relevant to them, that is desirable enough to them, that they would be willing to give their contact information in exchange for it? Maybe it's like the how-to guide to do something that's usually pretty complicated for them, and you're going to show them exactly how to do it. Complimentary assessments, or audits. Maybe you identify where all of their gaps are, and then you give them a plan for how to solve it. Well, that does two things. First of all, now they have to say, well, am I going to go try and solve it myself? Or do I want to hire these folks to help me get that done? And we said downloadable resources, and then webinar registrations or live events. Say you offer like a happy hour, networking, or a dinner, or a lot of us like to do events in combination with a trade show, or sponsor a trade show, and as a sponsor we get the contact information of the people who attended, or something like that. So how are you capturing interested prospective, relevant prospective customers' contact information so that you can market to them? And if you've hopped in with me before, we also have a tool that can help you identify who are the people visiting your website and get their contact information so you can send emails or run digital ads to them, or market to them. As well as finding people who are currently searching online for your services right now and get their contact information so you can continue to market to them. Because if you meet that pretty guy or that pretty girl and you don't get the phone number, there will be no date. So why do lead magnets work? We call these lead magnets. Is basically anything that you can offer that helps them quickly get a little closer to solving their problem. It's quick to consume. It solves one very specific problem, and it's something they would be willing to give their contact information in order to receive. So, nowadays we can actually build even like AI tools that can help our customers get closer to solving their problems. I have one on my website. We do digital marketing. So, I have an AI tool website audit on my website where they can actually you can actually drop in the URL of your website, and you will receive a detailed analysis of everything that's good about your website and everything that can use improvement. And you get it instantaneously. And then I get your contact information. But for some folks, they want to know what's going on with their website, and do I need to solve that? Do I need to fix it? Does it have issues? So that's of value enough to people to give their contact information. So depending on what you do, it may be an in-person, like, let's hop on a call and we'll diagnose your problems or your gaps. That can also be a lead magnet. And then what happens after you capture the lead? Most companies kind of stop there. The lead is captured, they have logged it, somebody made an inquiry, or somebody downloaded something, and then what happens? The best companies This is where that relationship begins. And this is called nurture. And, most people are not going to be ready to buy when they have a first interaction with you. Unless something catastrophic is going on, like, oh my God, we've been hacked. And immediately we need to find somebody who can fix this. Like, okay, now they are in a crisis mode. But most interactions are not crisis mode interactions. Um, Unless you're a company that all they do is crisis mode. But even so, even if you're a crisis mode company, companies are going to look for somebody to solve crisis, in advance, or think about, like, if something were to happen, who would we turn to? So there's still, you still want to be a nurture person at that point. Why do we nurture? Because it creates trust. It gives them all these little interactions with us, with them, an interaction with us, so that they can make up their opinion about us, and so that they feel like we're relevant to them, that we will do what we say we're going to do. We're going to be a good partner to them. Yeah, and examples include LinkedIn content. Are you posting on LinkedIn, or are they wondering if you are still in business? Do you have webinars or online trainings? Do you have industry insights? Are you publishing maybe a LinkedIn newsletter, or a live stream like I'm doing here, talking about relevant issues? Do you have a blog on your website? Where are you publishing content, and how are you getting it in front of people? Case studies. Again, people want to do what they have seen other people do successfully. People want to know it's going to work for them. And what's the best way of doing that? Seeing how it worked for them, for somebody else, seeing how it worked for somebody. Here's how we got incredible results for this customer. Follow-up conversations. So if they went to the trade show and they stopped by your booth and you got their card, what happened to that card? Did you follow up with them? Did you only follow up with the 5 people who said they're interested right now? If so, you're missing out on 95% of the value of that trade show, because most people are just not ready to buy right now. That doesn't mean they're not going to ever buy. Think of it like this. You have a field of you have a field of green tomatoes, full of green tomatoes in this field. And the farmer says, you know what? These tomatoes are not any good. They're green. I can't eat them right now. And he tears them all up and he throws them away. Does that make any sense? Of course not. No, those tomatoes just need a little love. They need some rain. They need some fertilizer. They need some sunshine. And then a little while down the road, they're going to be ripe and ready to eat. Red, ripe, and ready to eat. And just the same way, it doesn't make any sense for us to go to a trade show or generate leads and then only follow up with the couple of them who are interested right now, because all of them have the potential to become good customers when they're ready, when they're red and ripe and ready to eat. When it is time, when it's time for them, they'll reach out to you. But or you reach out to them and find out that it's time. But forgetting about them is definitely not a good solution, and neglecting them. Nurture continues to build that trust until it's time for them. And, in sales, we like to say the window is open and the window is closed. If you imagine, when was the last time you bought a car? Well, you may have gone years without buying a car because you already had a car. And then all of a sudden your car starts breaking down and it becomes very expensive to repair, or maybe you have a baby and it's too small, or there's some sort of thing that has occurred that has you say, maybe it's time to start looking for a car to replace this one. I need to solve this problem, whatever it is. Before that, you weren't looking. But maybe if you kept seeing like ads for really nice Lexus cars, and you're like, those are really nice cars. Now all of a sudden it's time for you to buy. I'm going to head down to the Lexus dealership because, I kept receiving like little mailers that showed like, really nice cars. My friend has a nice one and it seems really cool. Let me go find out more about that. We call it the window is open and the window is closed. Just because the window isn't open right now doesn't mean the window's not going to open down the road. And so we want to be the first one that they think of when it's time. And then, of course, events and educational emails. And not thinking, oh, I don't want to send an email because I don't want to be pushy. Make sure your content is relevant. If your content is relevant, they're going to want your email. They're going to want to come to your online training. And most companies quit too early or they never start. And if that's you, you are missing out. You're missing out on leads. You're missing out on conversations and you're missing out on customers. So, we're all busy. So, that's just the nature of human life. We are busy. So what are you doing to ensure that even though you're busy, those leads are still getting a follow-up? What kind of, do you have automation? Is there a way that you can use AI? What are you doing to make sure that you have consistent follow-up? So, the prospective customers are already out researching. They're making up their opinions about you and your competitors, and they're prioritizing where to spend their attention, and they're evaluating. And our attention is very short these days. Like, think about the attention span of a goldfish. So, you want to be able to grab their attention, give them something relevant, and give it to them often enough because, they may be interested, but, they saw your email come in, but they had a meeting right now, so they can't read it. Or, it's like, when we say, oh, I don't want to be annoying, and so I'm not going to send an email or I'm not going to put up a LinkedIn post, you're not being annoying. You're just getting in front of them when they have the attention and time to do it. And, every day we've got 500 million emails. So, we want to make sure that we have a variety of ways of getting in front of them. But, quality, relevant content is the way to go. And giving them opportunities in different, places like LinkedIn and email and live events and online events. If you've got stuff kind of going out in different directions, they can engage with you when it's convenient to them and when when in the way that they want to. So, some people maybe are on LinkedIn, some people are not, some people like email, so giving them options. And then the company that stays visible often wins. So just like we looked at with vendor A and vendor B, where vendor A isn't out there and vendor B seems to be all over the place, guess what? People are going to trust vendor B, even if they're the same exact offer, even if they're the same exact size, even if they're the same exact price, people will go with vendor B just because there's more trust there. And then guess what? Down the road, vendor B can raise their prices because people will still work with them just because it's not worth the headache of working with vendor A, who's an unknown, and they don't know if they're going to get the result. Would you rather spend $10,000 and hope you get the result, or $10,000 and be, or maybe $12,000 and know for a fact that they're going to do what they said they're going to do and it's going to go well? So, thinking about the nurture process, it's visibility, recognition, familiarity, trust, and these all lead to conversations, but they have to be there to get the conversations. Well, people don't want to talk to you if they don't feel like it's relevant to them. And, me and my boyfriend call it spamula when people call and it's not relevant and they're just interrupting your day. So make sure it's relevant. Build that trust first. When the trust is there, it's relevant because they're like, oh, yeah, you from this company, they are good. They do what they say they're going to do. They can help me. Now it's relevant. They help me solve my problems. And we have a new tool called intent data. So we can actually literally see when people are shopping around online, browsing around online, learning about your solutions, making up their minds and making up their decisions about who can help them solve their problems. We can actually identify people now. We can find out, what are they searching for and get their names, email, phone number, um, company name, company website, LinkedIn. And, we can actually find out who they are so that we can go market to them. And what does this give us opportunity to do? To be able to nurture them, before they actually even reach out. So we can start the nurture process early. We don't have to wait until they've already made up their mind. We can start touch points. We can add them to a LinkedIn ads audience or, Google ads audience, even connected TV audience to build trust before the competitors may even know that they are shopping around for a solution. And earlier visibility creates more opportunity to earn the relationship because you knew that they were interested first. You showed up. I mean, you couldn't even send direct mail to them, a postcard, or a gift. You can send something to them. And now, like, your competitor doesn't even know that they're looking for the solution. You're already getting in front of them. You're already shaping their decision-making process. You're already shaping the way they think about how to solve this problem. And you're already showing up as the expert and the leader in this space. So, trust is built by, touch points. When we, just as human beings, when we see something more often, we tend to trust it more. So, that's why they put Coca-Colas in movies. And that's why they put Nike gear on sports players, because when we keep seeing it, we say, oh, yeah, Coke. I like Coke, just because we keep seeing it. That's just how we are as human beings. When we see the golf players wearing Nike gear, we think, oh, yeah, Nike, that's part of my realm. I like Nike. I wear Nike. That's how we are as people. And the same applies to your business and what you do. When they see you more, they're going to trust you more just because they see you. And so you want to make sure that you give them the opportunity. And, now it's possible for you to show up and give them opportunities to get to know you when they haven't even reached out or engaged yet. So, that is huge. And the goal is to become the obvious choice. So don't try to convince people. We're not trying to be pushy salespeople. We're trying to reassure them that, yes, we are the real deal. We are going to do what we say we're going to do. We are going to help you get the desired results. You can trust us. We will be good partners for you. And, the strongest marketing doesn't argue buyers into a decision. We're not trying to beat them over the head with it. We're trying to help them feel like they're choosing us, that, they say, yes, these guys are the experts. these guys can solve this problem better than anyone else. And, when you're visible, helpful, and consistent throughout their journey, selecting you isn't a leap of faith, it's the obvious next step. Um, you guys are clearly the name of the game. You guys are market leaders. You guys are consistently doing what you say you're going to do, getting outstanding results. And, it's a no brainer to choose you to help us solve this problem. All right. So let's recap here. So trust is earned long before the conversation. So before they are even willing to schedule a consultation or a call or an audit or whatever it is with you, they need to have that trust built. That relationship needs to be built. So here's what every demand generation strategy should internalize. Buyers research long before they contact sales. So there may be a long process where they're actually learning about the problem and researching solutions. And then trust is built through repeated interactions. They need to be seeing you in different places, maybe on LinkedIn. Maybe they get a direct mail. Maybe they attend a webinar. Maybe they see you at a trade show. The visibility creates familiarity, and familiarity creates trust, and nurture keeps you top of mind. The companies that stay visible often win. Okay, so are you ready to build that trust that closes deals? If you would like to see how your company could prioritize and optimize visibility, build deeper relationships, and turn early trust into more closed deals, the next step is simple. Drop a comment below, type trust, and we'll show you how the system works that turns trust into pipelines and booked conversations and closed deals. All right. All right. So I hope you have gotten something out of this conversation. If you feel like you have some new ideas now on how to improve your follow up or how to be able to build that trust a little bit more with your customers, drop a 1 in the comments. And I would love to hop on a call if anybody feels like, yeah, this might be something that we could improve upon. Just mapping out our customer journey, how we are using marketing to build that trust with the people who would be good customers for us. I would love to hop on a call with you, find out a little bit more about what you're doing, and help you create a plan for what that might look like to help close those gaps so that you can book more conversations, close more deals, and grow your business. All right. So if this has been a helpful conversation for you, please like, share with your network. If there's somebody you know who would benefit from this conversation, drop a comment, drop your questions. Of course, I'll be back to answer any questions. And I'm looking forward to hopping in with you next week. I'll be live here every Wednesday at 11 a.m. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one. We'll be talking about more topics to help B2B companies close more deals, grow their business, and of course, make use of all these incredible new AI technologies and automation that can help them get a little bit more done and take the burden off of them and their team. All right. So I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks for hopping in, and happy follow-up.